Welcome to Veterans Forum, a program by veterans, about veterans, for veterans and their families. I'm your co-host, Bob West, with Ray Chattery and Jerry Devlin. Our goal is to provide important information on legislation, benefits, support, and activities for you and your family by interviewing leaders in our community. Jerry, who do we have with us today?
We're really very fortunate tonight to have with us Council Member Diane Polangin, who a couple of weeks ago was reelected in an overwhelming victory to her second term in the Bowie City Council. Diane, like all outstanding people, is a native of Boston, and she comes from a very distinguished military family. Her father was a career Navy officer. Brother rose to new heights in the family by becoming a Marine. But Diane has been a particular friend of the Bowie community, both as a council person and as president of the Bowie Professional Women's Club. So we really are honored to have you with us tonight, Diane.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm really pleased that I could come out here and join you and share some of the research we've been doing over the past few years on women vets.
Thank you. And this program is about women's veterans, and we're glad to have Diane with us. So, Diane, let's get started. What's going on in Bowie with women's veterans?
Well, it's not just Bowie, it's all over the United States. I just finished a term as the National President for Business and Professional Women, and part of my duties as the National President was to get the word out about the programs how we're serving the women veterans, how business and professional women are serving the women veterans. We are the only non-governmental organization working with the women. There are so many important factors. We started off 4 years ago just trying to just say, well, let's just help them learn how to dress and do cutesy things like that, and it just blossomed, and we've had to do a lot of research, and we've done got a huge program going, so I want to talk to you about that. But what I would like, Jim, you have some slides, if you could put up on the screen. This is the slides that he's going to show you is what got us started into this program. The first one you'll see is the specialist, Shoshana Johnson, and she was the first black female prisoner of war, March 2003. Then you remember Jessica Lynch and Laurie Pisatwa. She died in combat. She was the first woman soldier to die in combat in the Iraqi conflict in 2003. And we keep on going until I have up to November 2008, who Army Lieutenant Ann Dunwoody was the first female soldier to be promoted to a 4-star general. So it was with statistics like this that made us really want to jump in and see how can we help the women vet, because since 15% of the military is made up with women. So when we started this program 4 years ago, we were just trying to get the vets together and talk about what it is they need and what it is, how can we help them. And the most tragic thing that I ever encountered was the woman who had no arms. She lost her arms in the conflict. And she said, Diane, how am I supposed to hold my baby? And I thought, oh my God, I never thought of that. And because they provided her with hooks. You can't hold a baby with hooks. And, you know, she can't change her baby. There were so many things that and it wasn't really until that point in time that it hit me about the women getting injured as well as the men. But the men, when they come home without their arms or their legs, how are they going to hold their baby? How are they going to run and play ball with their sons? So because of this, we went into starting to lobby with the health issues and to make, you know, have them make better prostheses. And so we lobbied Congress for a lot of things to try to make their life a little bit easier when they came back. And it's just really blossomed. We had in this year we had passed the HR 1211, which is the Women Veterans Health Care Improvement. And that was introduced by Representative Stephanie Herseth Sandlin, a Democrat of South Dakota. And this equips the VA for immediate and long-term health needs of the women veterans, particularly those who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. And one of the things that they're finding is that the women have problems also with post-traumatic distress.
PSD.
Yeah.
PSD.
And so, and they didn't want to recognize that as a disorder until, you know, because when women were having it, they were saying, oh, it was PMS, or it was this, or it was that. And then they finally realized this is a real problem. So with some of the problems the women were having, then they actually recognized that it was a real problem for the men too. There's a lot of sexual harassment and rape happening over in Afghanistan and Iraq, and so they've passed some acts to help the families and help the women and who have been assaulted, and also when they come home from these places, they don't know how to act, and so there seems to be a lot of sexual assault there, and so we tried to have some legislation passed that will really help the veteran. I know you probably are aware that there's a lot of homelessness in women veterans, and so we're trying to see how we can put an end to that.
One of the things I noticed was the VA had a budget, and this was meeting the needs of women veterans. And in 2009, the funding level was $167 million. And it looks like for 2010, the funding level is going to be $183 million. And of course, these resources are gender-specific health care, specifically to meet the needs of women veterans, with particular emphasis on primary care. So the whole idea here is we want women to be fully aware as veterans that they should seek out the VA and other agencies to assist them, and that they shouldn't feel like they're alone.
Well, that's one of the reasons I wanted to do your show with you today, because most women, unless they are injured, don't know they're a vet. They never consider themselves a vet, so they don't go and get what's due them. They don't go and get the medical or any of the help for school or for housing or anything. They just don't consider themselves a vet. And so it's important for us to let them know that you served your country in whatever capacity you did. You are a vet, and you are entitled to these programs. Some of the things that the locals help the women with, and they're, you know, on the nicer end of things, is I talked to one vet, and she says, well, come and look at my closet. And everything in her closet was blue and white, black and white, because, you know, wearing a uniform for 20 years, she didn't know anything about colors. She didn't know how to interact in an office, because the way you interact as a civilian in office is so different than the way you interact in the military. So my father had a really difficult time when he retired because of the interactions of the civilian life. He just could never get the hang of it. And I say, you know, Dad, there is no book. You have to do what you feel is right. When you got up before, you read the book, and this is what you did every day. And he had a very hard time, and this is what some of the veterans, the women veterans, are feeling the same thing. I don't know how to act. I don't know what to do in an office. I don't know what to say. And even the resumes, the job resumes are different than the military resumes. So we offer resume writing help, and we offer to teach you how to go on an interview. And so there's, you know, just the little nuances that you may not teach at the Veterans Administration, because these are things that aren't on the top A priority list, but for someone to know how to go out and secure a job is to us on the top A priority list.
How many women in Bowie are actually involved in this program?
Well, Bowie, we meet with the Laurel Group. So it's the Bowie Laurel Business and Professional Women, and there's probably about 15 of us involved in that. And you know, when we're looking to see that it's going to be larger when the BRAC comes in and things start taking over from that. So